Yes, thank you, New Mexico Humanist Society, Peter, Paul, Where's Mary? Thank you to Patrick at the Albuquerque Museum. Fair warning, I am not a professional speaker. The last time I did this, there was like 9 people. It was at 8:30 in the morning, and they had me go for 30 minutes. I'm used to kind of talking to people in coffee houses. I'm not a professional. I'm going to zigzag. I'm like that text or that email you get where it's like words are missing and things like that. You're like, Keif, did you hit your head or something? So bear with me. So we'll be zigzagging through a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, just yesterday I was like, okay, Keif, get organized here, man. Just have some kind of game plan. I started writing all these notes and it starts to look like language poetry. I'm like, dude, you're a college dropout. You know? So, for better, for worse. I don't even know really where to begin, but I will start with, if you like the Guild Cinema, if you've had a good time in there, there's a background of things that I need to thank. And some of the people I need to thank are the previous owners. Joe Alcorn, Sylvia Wittels, Janice Gogol, Howard Gogol, Janet Brazil, Bob. When I got together with my business partner to be, we came up with a figure that barely even, paid for the Dolby Digital sound system. And I remember meeting with them at a restaurant. We got to that moment where like, here's the price we can come up with. I had worked with them before previously. And, at the Guild, I was there since 97. See, this is where I'm going to zigzag here. Bear with me. But, it wasn't, when I gave that figure, it wasn't just that the needle dropped off the record. It fell on the floor and rolled underneath something. And the story goes that they had to get a little tipsy and drunk on a bottle of wine. They had to finish a bottle of wine late at night. And I remember Sylvia coming in the next day and she put something on the table, kind of forced, like, okay, we're going to take your offer, And I totally don't begrudge them for that. It wasn't a lot of money. And so they're one of the reasons why we're still here. In fact, I put them on the guest list forever. And recently, about a year ago, one of them was walking by the Guild and it's like, hey, Keif, we don't need to be on the guest list anymore. I'm like, you sure? So a huge thanks to them. Also, a huge thanks to the property owner, John Daffer. During the shutdown, we got a little bit of a break in the sense that he was like, yeah, you're not making any money. Like, I can't, so he worked with us. Not every business got that during the shutdown. It was like mafia bosses or something like that. So we got really lucky on that. John Daffer has always been very reasonable. So he's another reason why we're still here. Also, all the good ideas come at the last minute. And thank you, Paul, for putting up with all my last minute emails. Like, what about this? What about that? At the Guild, when we do AV and prep, it drives me up the goddamn wall, just like all these last minute ideas. But that's how it goes. It's like, well, I can't accommodate that. And so I do have a little bit of a sailor's mouth, so forgive me over there. I do cuss. Like I said, I'm used to a kind of an informal, casual setting. But anyway, one of the things I forgot to bring, I have it up in the projection booth, which is fairly well lit, by the way, Paul. I'm not always in the dark. It was a guy named William, and his name is escaping me now, but his name was William, and he was a distant cousin. And I have a picture of him. He was a military guy who was decked out in his whatever uniform, and he looked like he was sitting at a 70s, like early 70s first cafeteria, and he had his food and stuff like that. It almost looks like a prankish kind of photo. And I say there, I have his photo frame. It's up in the booth. And I said, this guy is the reason why we can still run this place. And the story behind that was that the previous owners wanted me to buy it. They considered my sweat equity because I'd worked with them for many years. And I didn't have enough money even for a good used car to make payments on a good used car. So I was telling my dad my story of, whoa, I'm thinking about taking out bank loans. I got this guy that I met at a film festival who does this projection start like we did with Basement Films. I can get into that later. And he's like, well, your grandmother, distant cousin, she was like a father to this, or excuse me, she was like a mother to this guy. And, when he passed, I guess kind of early in life, he played the stock market well. He kind of hid his money, conspicuously. And it rolled to her, and my dad was able to make a down payment on a house. He's like, well, call her up. And his mother, my grandmother, call her up and see, how she feels. And without missing a beat, I called her, and without missing a beat, she said, oh, I'm good for that amount, and I'm probably, you don't need to pay me back. I'll be dead in a couple of years. And she lived to be almost like 100. So anyway, I never met this guy, but this is kind of how things came together. So yeah, that was the story behind this. So yeah, gratitude for all those people. I am just kind of a part of it. I'm a conduit. People after shows will sometimes say, thank you, Keif. It's like, I just turned the electricity on and opened the door, and the magic came from what, you provided, what the groups provided or whatever. And so it's kind of being a part of the process. I've learned things over the years from, say, Alan Fulford, Field and Frame, may he rest in peace. You open your doors and you make yourself available to things. I was very animated to run a movie theater. I never thought it was possible, but like my uncle, who was a flavorful character himself, he kind of ran a little bit with the Hells Angels, believe it or not, but he was like, yeah, there was this cinema, this movie theater in San Francisco, and you'd pay like $5 and you'd go in and you're never sure what you're going to see, some microbiological footage, maybe some weird movie that maybe Federico Fellini directed, and you just never knew. And I was always like, wow, that's real. Okay, this is the part where I'm going to go into the influences here. I was like, that's really interesting. I'd love to do that. I wish there was an audience for that. And, and then as a young person, staying up late on the weekends, middle class in USA, we had one of those push button, old school cable TV things. And I watch a program like Night Flight. It's a variety show. And I'd watch like Tin Drum late at night. I was like, what the hell is this I'm watching? It's going from being a kid who watched Star Wars too many times to like this other stuff. And it just blew my mind. And like I said in that article in the journal, I mean, the whole, slicing the eyeball and Ocean Andalou, it jolted me. And so this kind of developed my love of, cinema. It's just that kind of beatific moment, as the beatniks like to say, so I kind of realized later on in life, it's like, yeah, that's what you're chasing, for better, for worse. And so all of these things, really animated me. I mean, there's a guy named Craig Baldwin in San Francisco who runs a place called Other Cinema, and you look at what he's doing, and all of it just sounds so interesting, not only from an artistic, but like from a social, political viewpoint. And it's this kind of cinema that's very peer-to-peer. It's not necessarily super industry related, but something that you could kind of walk amongst these people. And so it was less of a, and we watch so many movies and it's just like, whoa, just so expensive. I had to borrow a ton of money to make it. It's so invigorating to see. And I'll show you some trailers of stuff like what I'm talking about, but it's so invigorating to see movies that come from, let's just call it maybe a folk art point of view. So all of these things kind of were put into a soup and in my mind and kind of influenced what I try to program. A lot of it is kind of a no-brainer. Like, of course I'm going to work with Jewish Voice for Peace. Of course I am, Of course I'm going to do a film noir festival. Who doesn't like film noir movies? I mean, there's all these different groups that we work with over the years. And also, a lot said about community, and that's all true and stuff like that. But also just from strictly a business point of view, it's like, yeah, you want to build alliances, you want to work with people, and that's how it is. It's been said over the years and centuries, like one of the tragedies of the human race is rent. We got to make rent. What we do for rent, the compromises and everything. But I have to say, over the years, I've pretty much done everything in good faith. I mean, there's been a couple movies early on. I won't even mention the movie, but early on, we were going from Stink of Flesh. Remember that zombie film that was made in the early 2000s? This local group of people got it together and made it. There were lines down the block. This is when me and my business partner, Peter Conheim, at the time, went on to be a part of that group, Negative Land. We went from that, lines around the block, to something that I booked as a moral imperative, and that was Outfoxed. You remember that documentary about Fox News? Yeah. To this other movie. And this other movie, well, it did so dang well for us that we were able to buy a video projector. So that's kind of a little bit of where Feel free if you have any questions or something, raise your hand or something like that, because I may go fast and I may make some references that you may not get. I don't do that to be snooty. Again, it's just my world that I'm in. You know, I may name drop some things and you might not know what that is, but that's okay. That's the world we live in, you know. So I'm not going to go into, well, I could. I mean, Guild Cinema, does everybody know where the Guild Cinema is? 3405 Central Northeast, and you saw we got a website, and, you know, part of me is like, there's the website, there's the history. Any questions, you know? So let's maybe talk a little bit about the history of the Guild Cinema. 1966 started off with a movie called The Red Lanterns about Greek prostitutes. That was started by an Italian family, the Zito family. And some of the early stuff was probably considered, you know, soft porn exploitation. In fact, when we cleaned out the basement of the Guild Cinema, in fact, one of my friends here has some of that stuff in his house right now. But we found like press kits from everything from like those old Russ Meyer films, you know, yeah. Faster Pussycat Kill Kill, to like Ingmar Bergman films. And it's interesting back then that those two directors would even be put together, but they kind of were in the sense that they were kind of off stream and things like that. But yeah, we found receipts for renting, you know, the Moral Mr. T's or whatever, and things like that. So the Guild Cinema kind of started that way. Then at some point, a young college student on a GI Bill, Bert Manzeri, bought the place. Well, he bought the business, I should say. And he kind of flipped it to more like older stuff, classic, more like what people would say cultural and things like that. And kind of what art houses are known for: foreign films, international films, independent films, things like that. And Bert Manzeri, interestingly enough, he went on to do the Landmark chain. That's a huge deal in the independent film world, that chain. He also helped Robert Redford kind of pick up and push Sundance Film Festival. He was integral to that. And so he's got a whole long history of you know, independent film exhibition. And he said the funnest, best time was right here in Albuquerque at the Guild Cinema. He's got stories like somebody broke into the theater one time and somehow they got behind the screen, and there's a story about what I'm going to tell you in this, but they were so pissed off that there was nothing to steal that they took a toilet that was in the back and threw it through the screen. And yeah, there was another time where they were doing construction on the front of the building. There's all these drop cloths, and there was no lock on them. The door had been dismantled, and so Bert had to sleep there overnight with these, you know, things like that. But yeah, that was an interesting story to hear about somebody throwing a toilet through the screen there. You know, yeah. Also, when we took over, I mean, going up into the booth, cleaning up the booth and stuff like that, we'd find roach clips, you know, joints. We'd find condoms, you know. Oh, no. Thing about the toilets. So this is interesting. I don't know if you know this. Like up in the booth, I mean, plumbers had to cap this stuff off, but there used to be a bathroom up there because when they were running reel-to-reel and what's called carbon arcs like welding, if it gets off, and it's what presents the light so you can watch the movie, if it gets off, it turns a different hue of color, so you kind of have to be up there. I mean, it's probably a time when projectionists were unionized. It's a lot of work, you know. You had to stay up there, and you had a bathroom up there. So think about that, you know, as you're watching a movie, there's a real change. Let that sink in, pun sort of intended there. But so there's some interesting tidbits. I mean, the history of the Guild is distorted. There was some embezzlement in the 80s. You know, this person took a lot of money. They were very desperate. And it's probably classic, not just Bert K505, but just classic small business stuff. There's just all kinds of assorted stories, you know. Does the Guild have a ghost like the chemo? There's been times where we're not sure how the light got turned on. We thought we heard, you know, footsteps and stuff like that where we're using the bathroom, and then open the door and look down the street. And we thought we saw somebody who worked at the Guild, but maybe not. I don't know if there's a ghost at the Guild. I mean, movie theaters are kind of a haunting place. You know, it's got ghost-like images. I mean, you could certainly freak yourself out, you know, cleaning up late at night, things like that. So, So let's see if I can zigzag into something here. People often ask, like, well, what's my favorite? What was that?
You are zigzagging.
I am zigzagging, yes. And I apologize. I'm not a professional speaker. But I'll just go into something. People talk about their favorite movies and things like that. And I can talk till the cows come home kind of thing. But one thing I find interesting is movie love and movie consumption, and what movies we go back to, and it changes, it fluctuates. What movies you like, and I would be interested to hear maybe some from you. Like if we have some technical issues with the laptop that just went to sleep, maybe one of you can tell me your favorite, movie theater going experience. Henry?
I know that you've talked about Jim Jarmusch and Stranger Than Paradise.
Yeah.
And for me, going to the Guild, Shall We Dance?
Yeah.
Japanese remake. I thought that was lovely.
What's that?
The remake, I thought that was lovely.
Well, that wasn't the remake. That was the original. Richard Gere. That was the Richard Gere was a remake. That one was one. But I hope to. Let me come back to. And I apologize, sir, that I'm not just right on point. There might be a little bit of jazz here. It might not be good jazz. It might not be good poetry, but I might get a little jazz here and maybe meander off route. But please feel free to ask me a question if you have one. Let's actually, Henry here, patron of the Guild, put together a short kind of, speaking of poetry, a poetic expose of the Guild. This sort of gives a little bit of a flavor of the Guild in just about a minute. So let's see if we can get that on the screen here.
Hit escape.
Let's see here. Oh, there we are. Oh. Yeah, I'm sorry I'm not upside down. I think that would be interesting for me to do a whole lecture upside down. And, somehow the hat would stay on my head or something like that. So let me see here. Escape. This is a PC. I'm kind of on the Mac tip of things, but let me see here. Let me go down here. And let's see. Oh, thank you, Paul. Let's go to Henry's piece here.
Okay. Yeah, just minimize that.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. And that's right. Yeah.
Right, the Guild, okay.
Yeah, that's
and
it.
then
Yeah.
double click. Yeah.
And if that doesn't work, hit.
And this is where, come on, somebody tell me a story. Tell a story about a favorite movie experience here.
That's the problem.
And then we'll.
With the live score.
Oh,
Nosferatu with the live score.
yes, that was just recently too. Yeah. Yeah, live movie soundtracks. Oh, wait.
That's you?
Let me see here. How do I back it up?
Oh.
Okay, let's see here. Okay, so we'll do the lights.
And you need to.
Oh, not power off. Don't want to hit that. Stage. Okay, let's see here. Okay. All right, and then we go back to. Yeah, and then house. Okay, get a little dark here. Okay.
Too dark.
Oh, wait. What are these lights? I thought I turned those down here. Oh, okay. Back. Oh, brother. Any more stories here? No, stage. I want stage.
One summer I was projectionist. I showed Like Water for Chocolate the entire summer. The air conditioning broke and Il Vicino opened up their oven-fired pizza. I hate Like Water for Chocolate.
And I like it so much I bought the book.
All right. So let's see here. Oh, now I'm in the dark. Let's see here. This is what I want to do here. Yes, thank you, Henry Langham. Okay, so let's see here. I think I push play.
Yep. Try that.
Okay. Okay, let's see here. Navigation. All right, house up. Let's see. All right, how's that? Okay, back to navigation. All right, and then stage. Okay.
Does technology always work at the Guild, Keith?
No, it does not. No, we've had, yeah, that's just part of the nature of the beast, you know. It's right up there with every day somebody emailing me or asking me if I could play this or that or this movie. Recently, we got somebody commenting we don't play enough international films. Probably true. It's, you know, that person who sent that email, if they were in my position, they'd get somebody saying, you don't play enough of this or that. You know, it's just, what can I say? I mean, I've definitely have my my taste. I veer towards certain things. I've always liked horror films, even before you had a term like elevated horror. I've always thought, you know, horror had something to offer. It was an interesting genre, but that's just one of many things. Avant-garde cinema is a big deal for me. Experiments in cinema, right here. You know, I'm wearing this shirt here. What was that?
I was just wondering about the Film Board of Canada. Is that still?
The NBC, I think, is what it's called, National Board of Canada. The Norman McLaren you're talking about.
I'm just thinking the Film Board of Canada was in the around 1980. They used to do animation festivals.
Yeah, we've done a lot of animation. We just Don Hertzfeld. He just had a selection of his stuff. I don't know where they're at right now, but that's an interesting question. You had mentioned Nosferatu, so that's something else that I've noticed that's been going around is live soundtracks, live scores. I recently had a good experience showing Page of Madness, which is a relatively obscure 1926 Japanese sort of horror psychodrama film that was scored live by a metalcore type of band from LA. Called Silent Light, and we sold it out. And what I loved about it wasn't just the experience of watching these things, but also that like very few people had even seen the movie. Very few people even knew the band, but it was the concept. And that's like for programmers, curators, or people who pick movies, that's a dream come true where you can play something, technically speaking, it's obscure, but it sells out just because based on the concept. So that was a very happy experience.
Keith, I have a question on that note. Two questions, actually. How do you curate from month to month or week to week your collection of films, because they are really eclectic? And also, do you write the descriptions yourself? Because they are so
No, somebody somewhere writes better than me. I'm never the smartest person in the room. Seriously though, I mean, it's just, there's only so many waking hours. You know, we're a small operation for better, for worse. You know, I got a good crew. I mean, I'm sort of the howdy doody of the group. You know, I'm sort of the guy that, you know, yeah, like, hey, thanks for coming to see the movie and stuff like that. But I got a crew of people. I got friends. I got this guy over here telling me I should play certain movies. I mean, there's no end of so to scale it back down, you know, sometimes I'll be like, I like this movie and damn it, we're going to get people to play it. And sometimes it falls right on its face. But a lot of times it's people walking by the theater saying, do you think about this? Emails. So it's a trick to kind of scale it back down. There's also issues of theatrical rights. I mean, I'm doing things above ground. There's underground cinemas that can get away with showing stuff, but I'm a little bit above ground. I have to maintain relationships with distributors. So, you know, my hands are a little bit tied by that. But I don't know if I'm answering your question quite, but it comes from all over the place. We've got like staff picks, like Don Sherry, who used to be my business partner. He still helps out at the Guild. He picked I Am Cuba, which is a phenomenal film that we're going to be showing in about, you know, an hour and a half or so at the Guild.
You're going to finish before that.
Well, I'm going to have to watch it tomorrow. I'm coming in on my day off to watch that one. So, you know, that... So yeah, does that kind of answer your question? It comes from, it's not a one-person show. I just happen to be the front guy in a lot of ways. I mean, yes, I'm the one who says the final decision, but like I said earlier, I'm just a part of the process, you know.
You're saying it's a collective thing, and it's a little bit random, and it's also a little bit coordinated by your need to maintain these relationships with distributors.
Yeah.
But whoever does it, individual or group, I have to say, I love the descriptions of the films. They're engaging, they're energetic, they're creative, they're really, really good.
And
Whether
my
I
here,
want to see the film or not, I like the writing.
I'm happy to hear that. That kind of makes my day, because I say that about Craig Baldwin in other cinema. He makes everything sound good. And people that go, they're like, no, it's not all good, man. But he makes it sound, he's got what I would call like the Zinster gab. Like, he just has a way with words. I mean, it's poetic, it's beatnik. I mean, it's just like, and so I kind of cobble stuff together and steal from the best and stuff like that. I have to. And if I can go off on a tangent here, you know, if I had, there's two things I would like to do. And one of them is to get a dedicated publicist, which Marjorie, right there, might be doing that, because I'm wearing too many hats, and not just these bucket hats, you know. Oh, I just said bucket hats, damn you. The Gilligan hat, that's right. So yeah, you know, it's, yeah. The other thing is to build enough of a base of people that will go with me on some of this weird stuff that is a little bit obscure, maybe a little chance taking. Paul said there's probably movies we play that he'd probably walk out of. That's true. I mean, it's the nature of things. There's, you know, every once in a while I'll show a movie that I'm not crazy about, but I know there's an audience for it. I know it has some kind of importance. So there's just, you know, there's kind of but anyway, to your point, thank you. I'm feeling the need to go into 3 movie experiences, and maybe one of you want to add to this, but one of my favorite movie experiences was watching this, it was a family outing. It was some movie that was dreadful. And it's a point, you know, if you ever watched a movie, it's funny, a film guy like me running a movie theater would talk about it, kind of a negative experience, but a movie theater. But if you've ever gone to a movie and the movie sucks, and you tune out, and you start watching people watch the movie. And I had this experience where I looked over at this guy like 3 rows, you know, back behind me, and we caught each other's eyes, and I just felt like we had this moment together. We're like, yeah, man, this movie sucks. And the other experience, one of my favorite experiences, Ken, you'll appreciate it. Ken there's a film collector. I think it was at the Chemo. I want to say I was there. It was at the Chemo Theater, lovely theater. Probably the oldest movie theater in Albuquerque. Guild is advertised as the oldest still running movie theater, but the Chemo Theater, they're playing like a kind of a beat up print of, and it was like a 25-cent movie, you know, kind of thing. It was just like 10 years ago, maybe 15, and they were showing On the Waterfront, classic movie. And so, you know, you got Rod Steiger and Marlon Brando, and they're in the backseat of that cab, where there's that line, you know, that's coming up that you all know I could have been a contender. So the movie's playing, and it's a choppy print, you know, there's things cut out. So the movie's going along, there's a scene, and then the scene just kind of goes on. And like a minute later, like there's chuckles and laughter in the audience, and I am too. That classic line was spliced out. It got film damage. That's just a funny, interesting moment to share collectively, you know, with the movie audience. The other one, I wasn't there for this, but I would have loved to. Somebody took some cell phone footage of it, and they were playing, Chain Theater was playing it's one of the Star Wars movies, and something happened to the movie where it's digital, so it looked like, you know, the DVD, when somebody uses it at a coaster, it just locks and freezes and it becomes abstract art, and just, you're watching this movie and suddenly it's like, no, it's not happening. And there were boos and whistles and people hollering, and people were upset. And one guy, I think it was a guy, who said, "You're ruining my life." And the footage was great. It was like this cell phone footage, and I would have liked to have been a part of that moment. It's kind of like where the spectacle just kind of diffuses, and you're suddenly left with, like, you know, this incident. So those are a couple of movie-going experiences. I also will throw this in too. Kind of a relatively experimental horror film called Skinamarink. That was an experience where packed house, a lot of young people. But I have to say, the cell phones were off, thank goodness, and there was nobody talking, and it's kind of told from a child's point of view. Most of the camera angles are up, very dark, and there was a moment in there where something, throughout this quietness, something came into frame, and like half the audience was like, oh, and it's like, and I was on that half. And so that was a great collective moment where just my side of the theater was just like, so that was another positive experience. But let's see, what else should I talk about here? I've gone over okay, what's that?
I consider the Guild one of Albuquerque's treasures.
Yes.
Thank you.
And I wonder, how stable is it, or has it ever been?
You think I'm going to tell a joke here?
Whether it's ever been on the brink of shutting down, and that sort of thing.
Happily, no. I don't work for a very high wage, and the crew is okay with being paid a little bit above minimum wage, and I have to thank them. Christina Cardoza, who does the calendar, Don Sherry, concessions, Jack Mahoney, and Michael Dixon. I always try to provide perks. I'm like, popcorn, Coke, watch the movie for free, and there's downtime. You can do your homework, and things like that. I mean, I'm the only full-time guy. I'm like a lot of people in this country, I'm underinsured. I better not get sick, but I'm having a good time. Mostly, my friends, it's a good life. It's not perfect, but it's a good life, and I feel really lucky to have what I have. And on those days when when I start to complain, because that's what we do, right? We just complain about things. But I have to step back and remember. I mean, I've had incidences where people come out of the movie theater and before even asking how they talk about the movie, they're like, "Are you guys okay? Because I just would hate this town if you guys went away." And so it's like, man, that's gold. I mean, that's priceless. I mean, I don't know everybody where they work if they get that kind of compliment. To answer your question, thankfully we're in the black because of these things. We're okay. We're not bloated. We're not flush. But knock on wood, some things could break, and I could pay for them. We might be down for a couple weeks, but strictly speaking, laser projector is the next one. We have to go to that. It's like you get on this technological treadmill. People talk about, well, 2K. What about 8K? What about 10K? What about million K? And so I got to kind of play that game a little bit to a certain extent. But thankfully, we're okay. And like I said, if I could just get together, I'm a small company guy, and but if I could broaden it a little bit and get a dedicated publicist, get a little more organized, that's what I would do. But yes.
I think I remember first going to the Guild in the very late '60s when I was still in high school. When did it actually open?
Yeah, it opened in 1966. It might have been closed for a couple years in the 70s, and bands would rent the place and do live performances. But basically, it's been going since '66. Maybe it was called Art Theater Guild. I think it went through a couple different names. It used to be a beauty salon, I think is what the research showed. James Montalbano did a nice article, and it's on our website under info. And if you go back behind the alleyway, you'll see Chinese Village 3405, and that's our address. To answer your question, though, yeah, it was since '66.
And I also remember, and I've been told and understand that there were porn flicks were shown there on occasion.
What's that?
Porn flicks were shown there.
Yeah, and there's a time and place for that. I mean, maybe some of you remember all that trouble we got into with Pornotopia and stuff like that. But there's a time and place for that. I know some people kind of look down on that, but there's a time and place for it all. But yeah, I mean, Burt Manzarek was like, his phrasing was like, I gotta, not have so much of the raincoat crowd, is how he put it.
I have a version of that compliment. For about 50 years, I've had two rules for any place I would be willing to live. I've never seen pink flamingos. I may never see pink flamingos, but I don't want to live anywhere where I'll never have a chance to see them.
It's a great way to put it. Thank you. We need more people like you. Yeah.
The other rule I had was, I don't want to live anywhere where I'm the strangest person there, and I think you got me covered.
Okay, I'll take that and run with it like the guy who cuts my hair. You know, it's like, yeah. No, my metric is like, a good local cinema and a good used bookstore. Thank you, Organic Books, for being there. Actually, Quirky Books is right up the street too. A good used bookstore, a good local cinema. Let me just zigzag with you.
Keith, can we go
You want to go for a break?
5 more minutes?
Yeah,
And then we'll
yeah. I looked at my watch and it is 11:30 almost.
When you're ready, let's take
This changed my life right here. If you ever get a chance to read this, man, I mean, it is just, it'll blow your mind. These are things that kind of animate me and sort of loom in the background. No, I don't do a lot of pranks and I don't actualize a lot of stuff but this book, and it's not just about doing a mean prank to an individual. There's like a social political element to it. It's called Pranks, by Research Magazine. This is one of the things that animates me as a person who picks films and stuff like that. And I love April Fool's Day. We try to do something funny on April Fool's Day. One year we did a thing about us closing and pissed off a lot of people. So we need to break in a few minutes, but yes.
I have to give a big shout out for the popcorn with real butter.
Man, somebody was mentioning the popcorn. We run the hell out of those machines. I got a backup one in the basement that's covered up, that's older than half the crew that works at the Guild. But yeah, we run the hell out of those machines. They're
the best.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that. The Toblerone. Yeah, we run out of those, and those are expensive. I mean, our markup's not much, and we just, it's, Daryl.
the 50th anniversary of Rocky Horror.
Yeah, that's coming up. Yeah, that's, hey, we're doing matinees. For people who don't want to stay out late, we're doing matinees for that. No, we are. This up, the 4th and 5th, I should say. Let me just real quickly, I forgot to mention this. What comes up a lot for movie theaters is this whole streaming business. Like people staying home. I mean, it is a trick for movie theaters. Like we got to get people to turn their cell phones off, leave the bar, leave the home, and go see a movie. And that's a little tricky. It doesn't behoove me to hate on streams. I'm not going to streaming. I'm not going to get any mileage out of that. I have to look at it as a way of like Letterboxd and stuff. It's generating an interest in watching movies. Whether you watch in a home or movie theaters, I mean, you can't put the genie back in the box, and also I can't just, I mean, there are times, like I said, where somebody wants me to play a movie and I'm like, I love that movie and it's going to be me, 5 of my friends, and that's it, and it's like, I can be selfish and indulge in that. And sometimes if we have a good month, I've been known to do that. I'm not a terribly good business person in that sense. I don't look at like, well, we're down this quarter. I'm like, we paid rent, we paid payroll, we got, the bank account was here, it's there. It's like, I'm like an infant. I might as well be sucking my thumb, on as far as business stuff goes. I'm really simple that way. That's how I kind of measure things. But yeah, streaming and everything like that. I mean, we've heard arguments about, well, it's like going into the womb of cinema. It's like the collective spirit. We're all facing one way. Even the Dalai Lama had nice things to say about going to watch a movie, even if it's a lousy movie. We're all facing the same direction. We're quiet. We're paying attention to the same thing. Does it matter if the content's lame? Well, yeah, okay. But I mean, that's where a place like us will win on content. I can't afford stadium seating. I can't afford recliners. I can't afford the seats that, that vibrate. So I have to kind of get ahead on, being accessible and, the content. Henry,
Don't you also provide some movies for streaming on the Guild website?
We did.
That are paid
Yeah. We kind of neglected that over the last couple of years. That is still an option. That reminds me, I need to get to the distributors and be like, hey, do we have any money coming from this? So I think let's take a break. Okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
Traditional 5 or 7.5 sort of like minutes. And we'll get back to more questions and more.
I'm going to play some trailers. It's not going to just be me jaw jacking. I'll play some trailers.
And restrooms out here and also around the corner.
Hey, Keith.